What's going on, boys? We are here with a brand new YouTube video. I'm pretty excited about this one. It is my first video of the 2024-2025 season. In this video, we'll be predicting Premier League Match Day 2. There's a high chance that you are coming here from a TikTok video, an Instagram video, or you've been sent here from my stream to hear about these predictions. It would mean a lot to me, boys, if you would hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. YouTube videos aren't easy for me. I know people think I stream on Twitch and I can have X amount of people in there and I can do it for 4 to 5 hours. I'll be honest with you, boys, recording a YouTube video is hard. It's just, I feel like I'm not made for it, but I'm pushing through because I want people to see research and process that goes into making these predictions, right? If you're on TikTok and you're watching me just predict, 10 matches without any reasoning or logic, you're just sitting there probably thinking I'm just pressing buttons. While in the beginning of the season, we might be pressing some buttons, we do have a little bit of a system process here to come up with those predictions. And today we'll be predicting on Score Rush, right? This is a free app in the App Store. You can click on the link in the description and you can grab the app, predict with me. Our group is called 4Pack. You can just search it, F-O-R-E space P-A-C-K, and you can join my group and you can get on the leaderboards there. We can get started here on the Premier League. Brighton versus Manchester United is the first game. The first thing that I see here is that Brighton are 2.5 favorites, Manchester United are 2.65 favorites, which is a bit interesting. If you kind of understand betting odds, then you kind of know that teams like United, Arsenal, Liverpool, they do get a lot of love from the public, so their odds kind of get skewed in a bit. So it's interesting here to see that Brighton, while not a huge favorite, still somewhat of a favorite here. So with a total of 3, the next thing I'd want to check here is the boat teams to score market. It kind of gives you an idea of what the books think is going to happen on a basis of each team scoring. So it's 1.5 here, which is generally a pretty low number in the Prem. So I think they're feeling a 2-1 for either team, possibly even a weird, crazy 2-2. Now, that leads me to the next piece of research, which is checking just the recent head-to-head. Now, I know people are probably sitting there and going, why would you check a recent head-to-head from last year or 2 years ago or 3 years ago? I don't really check the head-to-head to be like, oh, this is going to happen, this match. It's kind of just a basis to help me understand historically how teams may perform in someone else's stadium. All 3 of the last matches, including the FA Cup. So sometimes FA Cup, we really can't use that as any piece of our research. But the last 2 matches here have been low-scoring affairs. I want to say that it's making me feel like a 1-1 result. I do tend to fade the overs on my predictions. Everybody loves betting the over. Sometimes the line can get skewed over it. I'm not saying that every single game goes under, but I do feel like when it comes to bigger teams, it can be somewhat of a interesting spot to take the under. So I have Man United Brighton here at 1-1. Crystal Palace and West Ham. Same idea here. We'll see Crystal Palace sitting at 2.15. I did watch a lot of the Crystal Palace versus Brentford match last Sunday, and that was a clear robbery in my opinion on that as a free kick. I don't know why the referee blew the whistle. So Palace, I mean, they could have felt like they should have gotten a goal a little bit earlier than they did. Was a bit of a tough one for Palace. And West Ham, I mean, I thought West Ham were well on their way to a 1-1 draw until Johan Duran put one in the back of the net, so that was a tough loss for West Ham. But I do feel like Palace being back at home, they're 2.15 odd favorites. The boat teams' score market is sitting at 1.6, again, pretty low, so they do see West Ham scoring. The team totals is something else I like to look at just as an extra piece of information here. So they're feeling Palace scores 2, and the idea is that West Ham probably score 1, right? According to 1.3 odds, they probably do score 1 here, but I think it gets dicey on if they score 2 or not. So with the total being set at 2.75, I feel like not a safe prediction, but I feel like what the book is really trying to tell me is that we're going to be going with a 2-1 Palace win. Fulham Leicester City is an interesting matchup just based on what we saw in match day 1, right? Fulham was holding on to a 0-0 result versus United in Old Trafford. I thought they played pretty well for the most part. Some could say they deserved the point even there. And Leicester City did a great job on holding off the Spurs and getting a result for themselves at, was it King Power Stadium? I like that name, King Power Stadium. So we're seeing Fulham at 1.8 here. We're seeing Leicester at 4.2 for the 1x2. The books are feeling Fulham do get the 3 points here with about 2 goals scored just based on this team total odd here. Leicester should be likely to score, but not that likely to score, right? They're 1.485, and the both teams score mark is at 1.758. So this is kind of more of an interesting one. This is one where I would like to check the recent head-to-head here. Now, the only problem is they did not play last year, right, because of Leicester being the championship, so we have to keep that in mind as well. All right, that was not what I was going to go for. 5-3 result is pretty crazy. I don't think I'll be going with that type of result here. 1-0 Fulham, 2-0 Fulham is kind of what I was thinking. I do think I will probably go with 2-0 Fulham. 2-0 Fulham is kind of speaking to me here, so I'll go with 2-0 Fulham. Manchester City and Ipswich Town. I do feel like Ipswich Town could get the 3 points. I'm just kidding. I just wanted to see if you were paying attention. No. So in these type of matchups where it's one of the best teams in the Prem versus one of the worst teams in the Prem, I do try to not go over the total, right? Like I was saying earlier in the video, I like to kind of fade the under. So last week I predicted Arsenal to beat Wolves 2-0. I did have people telling me, they were like, you don't think Arsenal scored 3 or 4 goals? You don't think Wolves can score? It's one of those things. It's hard for me to explain, but I do not usually like backing the better team here in this situation where it's very top team versus very bottom team to cover the spread. And the spread is minus 2.75. So it becomes a bit like, do you think City win by 3? Do you think Ipswich Town can score? And I feel like the books, without even knowing, are going to have it about, wow, 2.35 is not what I was thinking. I thought it would be about 2, maybe like 1.95, but they are putting basically little to no respect on Ipswich Town to score a goal in the match. As you can see here, they're also 4.3 to score in the first half in general, which is absolutely crazy. There's nothing we can really use to go and look at the recent matches here. So I think I'm going to do what I usually always do in these scenarios, which is just to go with a 3-0 City win. Southampton, Nottingham Forest. A bit of a tricky one based on the odds here, right? They're giving us 2.5 for Southampton money line, 2.75 for Nottingham Forest, and 3.5 on the draw. But the interesting number to me here is the 2.5 total. So they are kind of feeling somewhat of a 2 to 3 goal match here. Seeing Southampton, I think they projected them to score. Yeah, they're predicting them. From just these odds here, it looks like a 1-1, right? But what kind of throws me off on the 1-1 projection is that both teams' to score is 1.7. So if they were really confident in the 1-1, I don't see that number being the case. But let's go ahead and look at the recent results here. I don't know the last time they've played each other. What looks like May 8th, 2023, 4-3. But end of the season, we won't use that one. 1-0 Nottingham Forest does seem interesting to me, but it's tough. Do I want to go against the home team here, especially Southampton, who, for all intents and purposes, this is a massive match for them, right? Just in the grand scheme of their Premier League campaign. A home match against Nottingham Forest, you do need to get the result here if you're Southampton. So let's go look at what it would look like here. I do have a couple of percentage points here for Southampton and for Nottingham Forest. I think I'm going to go with 1-1. The only thing holding me off on keeping it 1-1 is the fact that I predicted 1-1 for Nottingham and Bournemouth last week, which was an exact score. This is my brain working in real time right now to figure out if I'm going to try to keep it 1-1 or I'm going to go 1-0. You know what? I'm going to go 1-0. I'm going to go 1-0 Southampton. It was a disappointing result for them last week against Newcastle, right? They were up a man for the majority of the match, and they still ended up losing and not scoring on top of that. So I think for that, I want to kind of go against what happened last week, right? I didn't say this in the beginning of the video, something I did want to say. With one match day already happening, there's going to be a lot of, what's the word I want to use? A lot of overreactions to what we saw on match day 1. And I think people are going to place bets and do things that support what happened in match day 1. But you got to remember, these teams over the course of the week are going to try to change and fix the errors that they had in match day 1 here. So I do think Southampton can score a goal. The big discrepancy for me is whether Nottingham Forest put one in as well. Tottenham versus Everton. I think we are expecting a Spurs bounce back after that tough draw versus Leicester City. I got to watch the first half. The second half of my stream was just not great, so I didn't get to really watch the second half, but I did hear that the Spurs just couldn't convert their chances, right? So I think naturally in this game, you'd expect a couple of those balls that maybe, hit the bar, hit the post, maybe a crazy save. You expect those to go in against Everton here in this match. So the odds reflect it. 1.426 here for Tottenham money line, and then 6.5 for Everton. If we scroll down a little bit here, we will find that the BTTS market is 1.7. This becomes a bit difficult, right? Because I think that Tottenham, in theory, should not be allowing a goal to Everton, especially at home. But with the way they marked Vardy on that one cross, it kind of did bother me a little bit. Let's go see historically how Tottenham have done at home versus Everton. This is a type of matchup where I would like to know. So as you can see here, we have a 2-1 win for Tottenham. We have a 2-0 win to Tottenham, 5-0, 0-1 Everton win. That was in 2020. So I think I'm only going to use this last two matches, maybe just the last match here, between Tottenham and Everton. And I do think that seeing this 2-1 result does have me thinking that Tottenham to score 2 goals is something that I am feeling, and now the decision becomes, does Everton score on Tottenham? I'm going to say no for this prediction. I'm going to just say Tottenham wins 2-0 over Everton. Aston Villa, Arsenal. The odds right away are very interesting to me. So we're not going to see too many matches this season where Arsenal will be above 1.7 to win the match here, right? Which is still heavily respecting Arsenal, right? Arsenal against Aston Villa. Aston Villa was a very good team last year, and they are being given 4.3 odds at home. The total was only 2.75, so while the books do feel like Arsenal should get a result here, they are not really expecting a ton of goals, so to speak. 2.75 is kind of that range of 2-1, 2-2 possibly. What's both teams to score? That's an interesting so 1.6. So they do feel like Arsenal will concede to Aston Villa here. Aston Villa was able to score 2 goals on West Ham last match as well. Let's see how they performed last year. How did Arsenal perform last year in Aston Villa? For some reason, without just immediately remembering, I feel like Aston Villa beat them in Aston Villa. No, they did, and it was 2-0. Maybe this time around it'd be a little different because I don't think Arsenal are obviously Champions League has not started yet for Arsenal, so this could be something where it's a little different than how this match went. I think for this, I am feeling Arsenal score at least a goal. The decision is coming to me whether or not Aston Villa score one. I do feel like Aston Villa get one at home. I haven't really predicted a high-scoring match yet, and I do feel like while this is still 2.75, and I kind of said they're kind of implying a low total, you can't always go with the books, right? For the most part of my prediction so far, I have kind of gone with the books, with the recent historical head-to-heads, but for this match, I am kind of feeling a little bit more spicy on this one. I think I'm going to go with a 2-2 draw. Bournemouth, Newcastle United. The immediate thoughts, just looking at this matchup, is that we don't have a lot to work off of, right? Bournemouth with a 1-1 draw versus Nottingham Forest. Newcastle with a 1-0 win over Everton with a red card. So if we look down below, I want to see what the both teams score is. 1.5. Like, just so we're clear, looking at all of them, this and the United one were two of the lowest both teams to score odds coming into this match. So something to keep in mind with a high total as well. So they are feeling goals here, and they are giving respect to Newcastle being the away favorites, albeit it's only 2.2, but still the away favorites. I'd like to see how Bournemouth performed versus Newcastle in general last year. So last year there was a 2-2 result and a 2-0 Bournemouth result. Just from those two results right there, Newcastle did not get 3 points from Bournemouth last year, which is pretty interesting. Bournemouth at home overall, it does seem like they do get the result right. 2-0 win to them, draw. Newcastle on, draw. With 2-2 draws and 1-1 draw. I think if I'm going to go with a map, I think if I'm going to take a prediction here, I think we're going to have both teams scoring. We're going to have both teams scoring this matchup, but I guess the prediction really becomes, do I have either team scoring another one? Do I have them both scoring another one? As we saw, 2-2 was something that could happen in this match. I feel like 2-2 is a bit aggressive, though, in this match. I'm going to just strictly go with a 2-1 Newcastle win. Wolves versus Chelsea. What a matchup. We're seeing Chelsea at 1.71 on their money line here, with the total sitting at 3. It's a pretty high total. Decent respect to Chelsea away from home. I wonder if the books are kind of just using that 2-0 Wolves loss to Arsenal as kind of a starting point for this match. Chelsea likely to score 2, but that third goal for Chelsea is kind of a difficult one. And then Wolves are probably sitting. Wolves are sitting at 1.426 here. So both teams' scores at 1.625. Not getting a lot of information from the books here other than that they're feeling Chelsea to win. But let's go look at the Wolves-Chelsea matchup here. So last year, Wolves did beat Chelsea 4-2, and they beat Chelsea 2-1. So that is immediately interesting right there that Wolves have beaten Chelsea twice. Chelsea did not look good in their first match, right? They lost. I know they played City and they lost 2-0. It was really a 1-0, right? It was a deserving 1-0. Kovacic hit a banger. But I feel like if people see this 2-0 loss and how they didn't perform well, I could see people, taking Wolves here, Wolves double chance, Wolves things. But weirdly enough, I feel like a Chelsea 2-0, 2-1 win is like what my brain is immediately telling me looking at this match. But to respect Wolves not scoring last week, I think I will give Wolves one here. And Chelsea to win 2-1 does seem, all right. I'll go with a 2-1 Chelsea win over Wolves here. The last match of the Premier League match week 2 is Liverpool and Brentford. I'll be honest, I was not awake for the first Liverpool match. It was at 7:30 my time. I know they got the win. I know Salah scored. I think Salah got an assist as well. Brentford did not look bad enough to make them 10 odd. I'll be honest, watching Mbeumo and Wissa counterattack against Crystal Palace was very nice, actually. So I wonder if just by using that logic from the Crystal Palace match, if we can see Brentford scoring a goal here. The total is one of the highest ones this week at 3.5. They are probably feeling Liverpool to score 2 or 3 goals. This alone, these odds for the money line being 1.2, as well as the total being 3.5, immediately tell me a 3-1, right? A 3-1 Liverpool win over Brentford. I guess the real question is, can Brentford put one past them? They are not thinking that. They do not think Brentford can score against Liverpool here. 1.6 is pretty high overall, and the both team score is 1.7. I think I'm gonna put respect on Brentford to score though. But see, this could be a little bit of bias from me watching that match against Crystal Palace, and I'm hoping I don't get too carried away. But okay, so that makes me feel good at least that even on the last time they played, Brentford was able to score. But see, this is the problem now, right? The last time Liverpool played Brentford, they beat them 3-0. I still feel like that counterattack wasn't that bad. I still feel like it wasn't that bad against Crystal Palace. So I'm going to stick with my gut instincts here and go 3-1. Now, the question is, should I be taking my own advice in the Manchester City game and not give Brentford that goal and then make it 3-0 so the under lives here? No. I think I'm going to stick with this. I'm going to stick with Liverpool to win 3-1 over Brentford. So that finishes off the Premier League predictions here. I will run through them one more time and put it in the description here. So if anybody wants to just come and quickly see what the predictions were, it's going to be right here on this timestamp. I have Brighton to draw Man United 1-1. In Crystal Palace West Ham, I have a 2-1 Crystal Palace win. Fulham against Leicester, I have a 2-0 Fulham win. Manchester City against Ipswich, I have a 3-0 Man City win. Southampton against Nottingham Forest, I have a 1-0 Southampton win. Tottenham against Everton, I have a 2-0 Tottenham win. Aston Villa versus Arsenal, I have a 2-2 draw. Bournemouth versus Newcastle, I went with Newcastle to win 2-1. Wolves versus Chelsea, I went with a 2-1 Chelsea win. And then Liverpool versus Brentford, I went with a 3-1 Liverpool win.